this and more as we seek to gain a comprehensive understanding of President Buhari's tenure. Mr. Garba Shehu will share his insight on the successes achieved, the lessons learned, and the roadmap for Nigeria's future under the current administration. We shall also be digging to find out if there are failures and perhaps based on the promises that have been made. Garba Shehu is a senior special assistant to President Buhari on media and publicity. He's been an integral part of the President Buhari's media team, working closely with him to communicate the government's policies and achievements to the Nigerian people. We shall be looking at in-depth into the three areas that the president promised that he's going to really dig in. These areas include fighting corruption and reviving the economy, and of course fighting insecurity in Nigeria. These are areas that Mr. Garba Shehu will be talking to us about tonight. But another issue up for conversation tonight will be area of politics and some of the intrigues. We'll be turning our attention at some point to a developing controversy surrounding the National Youth Service Corps certificate of the elected governor of Enugu State, the governor-elect, Mr. Peter Mba. The issue sparked public debate and raised questions about the authenticity of the governor-elect's certificate. It has come to light that there are concerns and allegations regarding the genuineness of the NYC certificate presented by the governor-elect during his campaign and subsequently for the election. This controversy has attracted significant attention, has become a subject of interest among citizens and political observers. The NYC scheme in Nigeria is a crucial and compulsory mandatory requirement for Nigerian graduates, as it serves as a means of national integration and provides young people with an opportunity to serve their country. The issuance and verification of NYC certificates play a vital role in determining the eligibility of candidates for various public offices, including that of the governor of a state. Well, the Director General of the NYC, Brigadier General Wadi Ahmed, has said that the discharge certificate being paraded by Enugu State Governor-elect Mr. Peter Mba was not issued by the NYC. Brigadier General Mba had been quoted to have said, the argument on whether Mba has a valid NYC certificate or not did not arise because he has told the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the 2023 governorship election that what he presented as a certificate was fake. Quote, it came to me, this is where NYC DG came to me, and I called my director to confirm the certificate, and we discovered the certificate was fake, and I told him, I wonder how elites who have gone to school will resort to black market certificates. Everyone knows how we issue a certificate in NYC. Don't give it in hotel rooms or houses, end of quote. Meanwhile, the Enugu State Governor-elect Peter Mba has filed a case against the NYC demanding 20 billion for injuries he claimed to have been inflicted on his person due to the controversy surrounding his certificate. Let's get some clarification. I have a lawyer that will be discussing these with us in our Lagos studio. Chris Ezemenike is live with us there. Thank you so much, Christian, for joining us tonight. Give us an understanding of how this has become a major controversy about the governor-elect and his eligibility. We know just how important NYC certificate is. We do know, and we'd like you to talk to us about it, that the governor-elect is said to have asked to complete his NYC at a later date when he was asking to go for his bar finals at the law school. That is what allow you to become a lawyer who can practice before the Nigerian court. And thereafter, it was said to the controversy around that has emerged. What is exactly the real picture of things?
Yeah, thank you, Sean. When the issue of the fake or forgery of the NYSC certificate by the governor-elect of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, emerged, he laughed at it. He said, how could anybody concoct such a story that he forged the certificate, having served? And he said, just leave it. They will soon stop talking about it. But recently, it's gathering momentum. And as you know, when a lie is repeated over and over and over, people will begin to believe the lies are true and begin to act on it. Now, in early 2002, Dr. Peter Mba was duly called up for the National Service. I have the call-up letter. He was asked to report at the NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp at Ipaja, Lagos for 7th of January 2002. He duly reported. And after the orientation, he was posted initially to the Nigerian Ports Authority. On getting to Nigerian Ports Authority, he was rejected. It's normal. In most cases, some people will always reject coppers sent to the establishment. He reported back to NYSC and told them that he's been rejected by the Nigerian Ports Authority. Then he was now posted again. He now scouted around for a place of primary assignment and got a law firm in Lagos, Ude and Associates, 25 Ball Street, Lagos. The firm now wrote a letter to NYSC that if he's posted to the firm, he will be accepted. Based on that, he was posted to the law firm of Ude and Associates. There's a new posting of 6th of March 2022, written by NYSC, posting him to the law firm. He now proceeded there, continued his primary assignment. Then, up to the month of June, the law school, Nigerian Law School, now admitted him for his Bar Part 2. He has actually done a Bar Part 1 earlier before going for the service, because he schooled in England. It's normal for people who school in England outside Nigeria, not just England, to do Bar Part 1, to be acquainted with Nigerian legal system before enrolling for the bar final in the law school. He did that, and then we posted in June, he then applied that he be allowed to proceed to the law school and continue to defer his service and continue after the law school. The NYSC approved the application, allowed him to proceed to the law school, which he did. And on completion, he wrote another application to NYSC for reinstatement. He has completed his law school. And that application was accepted by NYSC, then allowed him to go back and complete his service. They issued him a new letter of posting for primary assignment to the same law firm where he has been. He now proceeded to the law firm where he was and continued his primary assignment. And he has sequence of letters of clearance every month. It is normal that you must produce your letter of clearance from the place of primary assignment, which is submitted to NYSC at the end of every month. He continued and produced all those things to them. He has copies of...
What year was this?
Yeah, he started in 2002.
What year was he asking to conclude it?
He finished service in 2003. He commenced early 2002, should have finished by January 2003. The initial letter posting to MPA has even the dates, the expected date of completion of the service, which says that is 7th of January 2003. But because he deferred his service to attend the law school, he couldn't continue, he couldn't finish by January as should have been, but now finished at September 2003. So when he finished in 2003, he was duly discharged by NYSC, and he was issued his certificate. Now, Shehu, one of the things you need to know about this is, in the certificate issued to Dr. Peter Mba has a number, which is the controversy raging all over the place. The number is A, that's alphabet A, 808-297. Now, in the series of NYSC certificates, there are I'll omit A when I'm mentioning because A maybe means batch A of the year. Now, there is 808, 291, 292, 293, 294, 295, 296. There is 298, 299, 230, and beyond. So now, Dr. Peter Mba's on is 297. So if there are these serial numbers in NYSC certificate issuance, basically the one issued to Peter Mba of 297 fell within that category. And then if NYSC is saying they did not issue this very certificate to Dr. Peter Mba, it is the onus is on them to produce who owns certificate A 808-297. If they can't produce it, then how would they be denying they issued this to Dr. Peter Mba? No, but
so
what I mean...
Just for a moment, Mr. Ekemezi. Now, let's look at it. Now, if I am the issuing agency or establishment, and I say, look, the certificate that you have is not genuine, what do you do as a lawyer? Because I understand now that the case is in court. On what basis did Mr. Peter Mba gone to court? I mean, because he said that he's suing for 20 billion naira. But the NYSC said this certificate that you have is not genuine.
Yes, yeah, he's gone to court because, you know, the deeds, the acts of NYSC are defamatory of him, of his person. They are destroying his image, the image he created and built over the years. For NYSC to say they did not issue him the certificate, he has now approached the court for a declaration that NYSC is being economical with the truth regarding his certificate. What we believe on this side is that somebody, there's a conspiracy somewhere. The lady, Mary Nelma Elijah, who initially wrote to NYSC, has nothing to do with politics in Enugu State. She singled out Dr. Peter Mba to write that letter to NYSC under the Freedom of Information Act, requesting to confirm if that certificate was genuine. We believe that somebody, somewhere, has did something wrong in NYSC, pulled out Peter Mba's certificate, filed from NYSC, before asked the lady to write in. The lady has no business with Enugu politics. She's not interested. If, as a lawyer, I apply for a document from anybody, from any authority, I'm applying for that document because I want to use it, either for myself or for a client I represent. After she got the letter from NYSC, the response from NYSC, nothing was done by her anymore. It means it's a hatchet job. Somebody, somewhere, pulled out the entire document, the entire file of Dr. Peter Mba and NYSC, and then asked her to write. She now wrote, the predetermined response came in, and that is what they brought out. Unfortunately for them, Sheung, they didn't know that Peter Mba, we talk of we being meticulous, but Dr. Peter Mba is the definition of meticulous. He has kept everything, every document that passed through him. He kept all of them, including the meal ticket. The meal ticket issued to him at NYSC camp in Ipaja. Most of us, most everybody, when you're leaving the camp, you throw away your meal ticket. But Dr. Peter Mba kept even his own, not because of today, not because of this day, no, but because he's meticulous.
Your challenge, just a moment, you're raising a question mark on the reason why the woman who activated the Freedom of Information process on Mr. Mba, and you're querying it. I mean, I need you to understand also that as soon as anybody puts themselves and himself up for a public office, the person is now going to be under the public's scrutiny. So it doesn't matter whether there is interest or not. It's the fact that as soon as you are in the public line, there's going to be scrutiny and people will ask questions for the sake of transparency. And that's in fact the reason why we're having this conversation with you tonight, that the person who wants to lead Enugu State, and there are question marks as to his records and the affidavit that he has sworn to become in the records that are submitted to INEC should be genuine and should be authentic. And does the onus not come on him to be able to present himself and verify and authenticate the document that he said he has?
Yeah, yes, Sheung, yeah, I agree with you that anybody is a public institution, public document, anybody can apply and get it. But my point I was trying to make was that you apply it for a purpose because you want to use it for one thing or the other. The lady who did apply from Omas and Partners, on getting it, she didn't use it for any other purpose other than the opposition in Enugu, who knew that they were going to lose the election to Dr. Peter Mba, is holding that as the point to use to disqualify him from the election. Because if you're privileged to look at the petition they filed at the governorship election tribunal in Enugu, 80% of the petition is based on the certificate. The NYC certificate said to have been forgery. But if a man had gone through all the rudiments of enrolled at the camp, passed through the camp, did the primary assignment, deferred it, and returned and completed his primary assignment of NYSC, why would he now go begin to forge a certificate to that effect? A certificate doesn't need to pay for. It's not an exam certificate. Just for you to be present and do the primary assignment, then you get it. When he completed, he was given to it. One thing I need to let you know is that if you look at that certificate, it is dated 7th of January, 2023. The reason is that immediately people enroll in NYSC, finish your orientation, and leave the camp, NYSC will begin to write all the certificates for the probable date of discharge. And the first letter of posting of Dr. Peter Mba stated that he will be discharged about 7th of January, 2023. So those certificates been written earlier, but he did not pass out with his colleague, his set, during that period, because he was already in law school. So when he now finished, of course, he's finished and then he had to discharge him. They issued him his certificate, which already has a date of January 2023. So he couldn't have. If you go through there are those documents coming from NYSC, he's posting, reposting, and the rest of them. These are officers of NYSC at the material time in question. NYSC is not denying those documents. So if they have posted him to Lagos, he served, posted him to a place of primary assignment, he served there, applied for deferment of his service so that he can attend the law school. And he was allowed to go to law school. He finished, returned to NYSC, reposted again to the same place he was serving, and then continued and finished. So why would NYSC now deny the certificate issued at the end of the day? If Dr. Peter Mba has infractioned the rules of NYSC, there is a punishment for it. Especially, they give an extension, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and the rest of them. They didn't say he infractioned, he ran away, he absconded from the service. No. They're only saying that the certificate he produced is fake. And we are saying, since the certificate is A808297, produce the person that certificate was issued to. Because in the serial number you have, there are other numbers before him, then after him. So if his own is now a fake one, produce the real owner of 808297. They can produce such. There is nothing like that. So it is the one they issued to Dr. Peter Mba is the genuine certificate. Somebody has done some mischief somewhere by pulling out those things from NYSC. And then immediately it's pulled out, they now said he forged it. If he doesn't have any of these documents, he has not kept these documents, it would have been, yes, the people will believe that he forged them. But these are documents from NYSC, documented. If he has gone through the rudiments and finished everything, why would he go and forge a certificate? No, Sheung, it's not done. It is if he had not...
The lady you mentioned, Mr. Ezemize, the lady you mentioned is not the only person that is raising question here. And I'm a bit careful in digging too much into, because there are a lot of issues on that certificate that you're talking about. I may be careful to dig into this matter because they are before the court. And I don't want to touch on the matter so that we are not, committing any infraction by discussing the case that is before the court. But for the sake of transparency, and that's why we have engaged in this conversation, at least for Mr. Peter Amba to be able to present his case before the Nigerian people. What is your next step of, your next line of action? You've gone to court on one hand, but this issue is now, on one hand, a legal matter, and on the other hand, a moral issue, because the person that wants to lead the people of Enugu must show cause why they need to believe him that is not forged a document which not only one person, but two people, one has gone to the election tribunal to challenge on the grounds in which he was nominated as the governor of Enugu State. So give us, as a final word, your next line of action to the people of Enugu State on a moral ground.
Now, so like I said earlier, initially, Dr. Peter Amba felt that this matter, which are lies concocted, will just die away. But now that the DG of the other body, the NYSC, has come up to disclaim the same certificate, and again, he went on the same day to disclaim that he's not even aware. There are two things there. First, he said that the matter is in court and he wasn't going to comment on it. But he went ahead to comment on it, like what you said earlier. He said he told him, and he maintained that that certificate is forgery, because he asked his director of certification, who told him that it's forgery, and he believed him. So that day, he also said the matter in court, he heard about it in pages of newspapers, that he's not aware it does exist. But it's not true. He's not telling the truth to the world. As at Monday,
Mr. Ekemeze, if, for example, just for a moment, if the university where you graduated from is saying that the certificate that you have in your hand is a fake certificate, what would you do, for example?
Now, in the first place, you know, the DG said so. Dr. Peter Amba has approached him.
No, I'm asking you,
yes,
just for a moment, if I'm asking you now, if the university where you graduated from, where you read law, says the certificate that you have in your hands are not is not genuine, what would you do?
Yeah, there are things to be done, Ncheon. First is that you can approach the university to clarify it, to ensure them know that you graduated and was issued that certificate, which was what Dr. Peter Amba did initially.
Has Mr. Peter Amba done that in his case?
Yes, he did that. Okay. The DG said he came to him to report about the allegation that he forged the certificate. Because if he had forged it, he could have gone to the DG to meet him to show him. And then secondly, if the university attended, like you asked the question, is recalcitrant, refusing to listen to reason that I didn't forge it, of course, that's why the court system is there. And that's what Dr. Peter Amba has done. He has gone to the court, a third party, to now look into the matter and declare whether he forged that certificate or not. It was in good faith he approached the court.
Okay. Mr. Chris Ekemeze, a lawyer, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Indeed, giving Mr. Peter Amba an opportunity to air his own side in this matter. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much.
Richard. Let's now turn our attention to the last days of President Muhammadu Buhari in office. He's enjoyed a two-term, been elected by the Nigerian people. He's made several promises, but how far has he kept to those promises? Tonight, I have joining me Mr. Garba Shehu, who is President Buhari's Senior Special Assistant on Media. He joins us virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu, and it's good to see you. How does it feel? Final days in office. You've been there in the office. You are not a newcomer or a stranger to the villa. Having worked with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, you've worked with President Buhari. You should be automatically being given a free plot of land in the villa, because you are probably going to be, apart from the civil servant, going to be one of those who have really, really known the nook and crannies of the villa. But how does it feel that you are exiting with your principal out of office after 8 years?
Well, it feels great, and we thank the president, we thank the Almighty for making it possible. It's just like yesterday we started, and I've said it elsewhere. I think that we have the president to thank. you look back at all of those who were in the villa before us, who served in the media office. Mostly, you do 2 years, maximally 3 years. You either are replaced or you quit on your own, or in one or two cases, some of them even died in office. So, but for us to do all of 8 years together with the president, yes, it's monumental. We really think that the president had done a big favor to us, giving us the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, I mean, one should thank God for life, especially under a president that has really gone through a lot of health challenges in his office. He came in so healthy, but his health became very challenged at some point. But here he is. He's going to by himself be handing over to yet another president. But it's interesting, Mr. Shehu. I don't know how you're going to be able to explain to Nigerians that in the closing days of President Buhari, there have been reports of numerous last-minute approvers and, in fact, appointments. And, in fact, the question will be, why those last-minute appointments? On what basis? On what moral standing would the president be giving those last-minute appointments?
Well, these appointments and the contracts you have mentioned, they follow due processes. And they take time, to mature, to come to a head. Look, given the complexities of procurement in the country, it takes an average of 9 months to start a procurement process for maybe a building or a road, or 9 months from start to finish on the average. So if you look at all of the contracts that have been approved lately, virtually none of them is laying a claim to 2023 budget. They are drawing from 2022 budget about to expire. In fact, some of them go back to the supplementary budget and the 2021 budget. So this is money that would have been spent anyway. However, because of the complexities and the intricacies involved in the procurement process, they are maturing just about the time when the term of the president is coming to an end. And so therefore, nothing is done to take away from what the next president will be doing or to deny them money that they ought to be spending. They will have the budget for the year to operate, and there will not be any difficulties that they will face as far as this is concerned. As for appointments, I don't think there is anything that is being rushed, because as again, it takes a due process, to build up, screen people, and go for clearance with the security agencies and all of that before they come. So these things are maturing with time. That's a second thing. And another thing is that
you seem to have muted somehow. Could you unmute?
Hello?
Okay, now we can hear you again. Please go ahead. You're talking about the appointments.
Yes, I said that the appointments are coming around, having gone through a lot of processes. Look at, for instance, the Accountant General of the Federation just appointed. You know that we didn't have an Accountant General for nearly a year now because the former occupant of the office is in court. And to replace him, there has been, virtually all the directors of finance in government ministries had shown interest in the job. And the head of service of the Federation had to set up a number of examinations and interviews and all of that before finally the lady who emerged, came at the top. So it takes time. And the fact that the process is complete does not mean that the president should raise his hands up and say, no, I won't do it.
Well, because, yeah, Mr. Shehu, what one we wonder is that if Muhammad Buhari is a friend to Bola Tinubu and they are of the same political party, and these appointments are coming at the last minute, because of the optics of it. Some Nigerians might be seeing it as desperation, and some might also even be drawing some ulterior motive into it. I mean, shouldn't the president have just passed some of these last-minute appointments to the incoming government? Because the question will be, don't you think there are possibility of some of these appointments being upturned?
If they are upturned, it is perfectly in the power of the president, incoming president, to do so. But again, there is nothing that you will do, you don't face criticism. I'm sure you have read also criticism of the president that he had run away from the census, he had handed it over to the incoming president, and that the fuel subsidy withdrawal, that he has pushed it to the next president. So whichever way, whatever you do, there's no way you can win with public.
No, but Mr. Shehu, I mean, this has a background, though. Is a president that has been heavily criticized for being shy of making an appointment. All of a sudden, less than 30 days before leaving office, he's made enormous numbers of appointments. So, I mean, there are people who will raise eyebrows. Why are these appointments raining and coming in their numbers just few days before the end of his tenure?
No. Shehu, these appointments you're talking about, you can count them on your fingertips. Look, the president of Nigeria, as to political appointments, has thousands of them. Certainly nothing less than between 2,000 to 3,000 appointments to make. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that you have done, you don't take away from the powers of the president. And in any case, as you have said yourself, it is up to the incoming president to decide whether those appointments will stand or not. He has the latitude of authority, clearly spelled out that under the Constitution, to change them. And so therefore, nothing is lost. However, as I said, we are blessed in the fact that we are being succeeded by an APC administration. People, if this was the opposition that was coming, they would simply have been complaining. But it's the same political party. So it's the same, more or less, government, different administrations.
So the appointments are not sacrosanct. It's something that the new administration can upturn, isn't it?
Absolutely. They following due processes, they can.
Let me ask you, are there being, clarify for us, presidential jet? Are there plans to buy a presidential jet? Confirm to us.
No, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware that there's a plan to buy a jet.
So you're not aware of the activities of the Minister of Aviation in this respect?
No, I'm not aware. I've not been briefed about that.
Are you aware about a possible auction of a Hawker aircraft in the presidential fleet?
As a matter of fact, a process had been put in place, I believe, 2-3 years back, to auction at least 2 of the presidential aircraft. Some had been surrendered to the Air Force, and they were put in the market. And I'm sure you have followed that offers were made, and the government said, bring money. And some smart guys tried to play games with the thing. Instead of paying for what they had offered, they reneged, and they were now counting backwards. And so the government wasn't going to throw away this thing because the value is known and established. So therefore, the sale did not succeed as at that time. If there is a renewed effort to sell at this time, nothing breaches what has been put in place already.
Let's take a breather, Mr. Shehu. And when we come back, we'll be looking at some of the promises made and how much of the delivery of those promises have been achieved under the Buhari administration in the last 8 years. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back.
10th House of Representatives Minority Parties Caucus, Greater Majority, Notice of Meeting. Members-elect are cordially invited to the 4th session of its general meeting. Date, Monday 22nd May 2023. Time, 4 p.m. Venue, Lagos Ocean Hall, Transco Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Right Honorable Fred Agbedi, Convener, Announcer.
Halima has always been a girl after my heart, and in every way, I want the best for her. My name is Mrs. Adesanya Adeshala. I am Halima's mom. I didn't actually discover the U-Lesson app. Halima did. I got a call from someone from U-Lesson who noticed Halima has been on the app. I was convinced. We made payments. You know, kids, when they want something, they will always be on your neck. Halima has always wanted to be a medical doctor. She had difficulties in maths and biology. I've been helping her, and in doing such is by subscribing to the U-Lesson app for her, because it has been really helpful. She's been getting better grades. I would recommend U-Lesson to every parent out there. If as a parent you know you want the best for your kid, I would recommend you just subscribe to the U-Lesson. Subscribe to U-Lesson. It's just the best for you.
Adron Homes, building cities, communities, and homes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Garba Shehu is a senior special assistant to President Buhari on media, and we've been talking about the assessment of the APC government led by Muhammadu Buhari in the last 8 years. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu, for staying with us on the program. Let me get your view as we dive into some nitty-gritty. How does the president rate himself? First and foremost, he has to have a view on what he has done. How does he rate himself, his performance in these last 8 years?
Well, the president feels he fulfilled. He has done exceptionally well, as best as he can in the circumstances in which he has found himself. And he's satisfied going home, and for the next president to continue to build on the foundations that he has laid.
So let's take it one after the other. If the president feels fulfilled, why then is he talking about forgiveness to those he feels offended?
You can't walk on eggs without breaking them. It's absolutely not possible. So apology by President Muhammadu Buhari was not did not indicate the acceptance of wrongdoing on his part. There are people in the course of doing this job, there are people who you would offend inadvertently. Certainly the president is not a malicious person as to go out deliberately to hurt people. But looking all of the things, the enormous powers of the office of the president of Nigeria, the president has responsibility for every executive action of the government. So if you have been wronged by whether a tax collector or investigator, police, EFCC, and you feel that way, the president is saying, I take responsibility and I apologize to you. I don't think there's anything wrong in doing that.
I mean, we look at security specifically. Those who feel this is one area that the president thought that it was his strong area and that he could handle effectively. There are those who judge him as one slow in pace, sometimes non-empathetic enough to have shown concern when there are events or incidents that have happened in the country, and those who have judged him as ineffective in his style of operation to have dealt with some of these incidents in the country. Does it feel the pains of some Nigerians who are expressing their views in this regard?
Well, opinions would obviously be different, and people are entitled to hold their own. It's a matter of time. People will come to the full realization of how much the president has done. When he came in 2015, the urgent national task was to arrest the rapid deterioration of security and the spread of Boko Haram terrorism. And you could recall very well, in Abuja here, the United Nations was bombed, the headquarters of the police. So what else? They had proved their point, and they were determined to. They were already in Lokoja and Okene and headed for Lagos. So the fact that President Buhari has been able to roll this back, as we speak today, Eshew, the preoccupation of the government of Nigeria is how do you rebuild damaged infrastructure, roads, bridges, schools, markets, places of worship, all of them destroyed by Boko Haram. Now the thing, people are resuming agriculture, they're growing their own food. They were being fed in IDP camps. Now the effort is, the government is rebuilding with active collaboration of the Borno state government, rebuilding communities that were destroyed and people being taken back and getting on with their normal lives. So security is not what it was in 2015. Whether people will give credit to President Muhammadu Buhari now or later, we will wait to see. But certainly, in fact, the Boko Haram terrorism disastrously and in fact excessively showed how damaged the country's military institution and the security agencies had been. And the fact that the president is able to rebuild these institutions and re-equip them. An air force that flew only 4 aircraft today has 38 of them and 24 fighter helicopters coming. So many acquisitions are going on, more than 100 platforms for the Nigerian Navy, making the shoreline the safest in 27 years. And the records are there. The army has made so many acquisitions, drone technology, were in it all. So much has changed. And that President Muhammadu Buhari will be appreciated, if not now, much later.
I mean, looking at how much there have been spent on fighting insecurity in Nigeria, one major promise that the president has made to Nigerians, and budgets now going into, it was initially in the region of billions, now is in the region of trillion naira, and northwest of the country still remain a hotbed. In April of this year alone, Mr. Garba Shehu, there is a security outfit that has put the figure of injured people in Nigeria to about 241, with over 380 incidents that have happened in the country and over 300 people that have been kidnapped in this country. This is a country that spent trillions of naira on fighting insecurity, and where the president is saying, as a former general who has a capability to arrest insecurity in Nigeria, and yet people are still facing these kind of security challenges. Some of the highways in Nigeria are impossible, not because the roads are bad, well, that may be on one hand, but because you cannot just drive on those roads because of the issue of insecurity. In fact, we have had generals that have been killed on the Kaduna Highway.
Well, if you are looking at statistics, you can make the choices you can make your choices as to which ones to believe. If you look at the global terrorism index, what they are saying is that in the year 2022, killings by terrorists had declined by 92% in Nigeria. This is a major achievement. The question is, has President Muhammadu Buhari eliminated crime? No, he has not eliminated crime in Nigeria. And show me one world leader in the space of 4, 8 years, or even 30 or 50 years, who has reduced crime to zero level in their own country. So I'm not making excuses. There are still incidents here and there. In the Northwest in particular, you call it a hotbed. A few areas, yes, are worrisome. But a lot of it has been cleaned up. And the thing to judge the president, on these matters is, what is the response of the administration when incidents such as this happen? It's not complacency or in a caring attitude. No, the armed forces of this country have been equipped, have been fully mobilized, and training is ongoing. 2 months ago, he just acquired 700 trucks for the movement of troops. 700 trucks. So therefore, they are fully mobile. Incidents do happen, and in a number of these instances, the response is immediate, and in a number of cases, arrests are made and bandits are eliminated.
Mr. Shehu,
where they are found.
This is going to be my final question on security, so that I can move on 1 or 2 issues before we wrap up. And I mean, I'm not making reference to what the president didn't say he would do. I mean, what he did not promise. We're talking about the things he specifically, and we're starting with security, which is like his major, his core, where a lot of people believe that there was a huge insecurity in the land when he was getting into office, and they believe him. That as a former general, in fact, Bola Tinubu had said, made examples of generals in several parts of the world who, at the time that the people needed them, they came and rescued the people. And he made reference that Buhari is the general that Nigeria needed in 2015. And a lot of people believed your party, the APC. The question I'd like you to answer, Mr. Shehu, tonight is, in all of these promises and in all of this undertaking, in all the monies that have been spent, give us one aspect of insecurity that you would say or beat your chest as a government that the president has resolved with a tone of finality.
Boko Haram terrorism was an existential threat. Boko Haram today is an occasional threat. It's been quashed. They had carved out a territory of their own and made it an independent state of their own with their system of administration, laws, and taxation. Go and check the map. That territory, the Boko Haram Caliphate, the headquarters, has disappeared from the Nigerian map. So, look, let's not make pretenses about it. The criticism will come because it goes with the territory. But the President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was coming in 2015, the biggest threat this country had faced was Boko Haram terrorism, and he has rolled it back.
There are those who would disagree with you, Mr. Shehu, that, I mean, a few days ago, a few weeks ago, Boko Haram is still abducting and killing people in Yobe State and in some part of the northeast region of the country. Well, I mean, let's look at, for example, an area like the economy, and we look at what has been done and perhaps what is going to be left undone, or what, how the government of Buhari will be leaving the country. Would you say the government is leaving more trouble for the incoming government?
Absolutely no. We're not leaving more trouble. We have created more comfort for the incoming administration than anybody would have ever thought. This country's economy stood on one leg, monocultural economy. It was oil or nothing. Today, Even ICT is the new oil in the country. Who did it? It's Buhari. Is the champion for ICT. Who did agriculture in the country? Agriculture fetches more money for the country today than oil. So economy has been diversified. It's a broad-based economy and will continue to sustain the legacy, yes, that we inherited of Nigeria being the continent's biggest, the largest economy.
I came across one of the statements you released about Nigeria's inflation, and I thought that maybe there were some errors in that statement. Can you confirm to us what you said in that statement in respect of what the Buhari government did to the economy, in respect of the inflation and how he's going to be living it?
I don't know what specifically what you are talking about, but yes, what I did say recently is that inflation is associated, is coming with the cost of living crisis globally. Look, today as we speak, even the election that is taking place in Greece globally is determined as a cost of living election. So everybody is faced with this difficulty, and the numbers are there. 11% in the UK, the highest in 41 years, Ghana 40-something percent, Turkey 45, Pakistan somewhere around that number. So everybody is in this. So at 22 is not ideal. We don't like it, but we're not as bad as the others are.
So, Mr. Shehu, you have been quoted in that statement as saying that the rate of inflation in Nigeria, Buhari is not responsible for it. So who is?
I said we have a global phenomenon. When you situate what is happening in Nigeria in the context of global crisis, first of all, generated by the COVID-19 and all of the global lockdown and the supply chain disruptions. And that had killed in many places manufacturing, production of fewer goods, and meaning then that the cost higher. And then soon thereafter, just when everybody was coming out of all of that, then the Ukraine-Russia war is ongoing as we speak today, and it is disruptive. So look at the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari has done in the context of these challenges that are being faced by all of the nations around the globe.
Mr. Garba Shehu, I don't know if you are very correct in your submission in that statement. COVID-19 began in 2019. And you look at it, what was the inflation rate in 2018? President Buhari took over in 2015. Inflation rate in 2018 was way in double digits. You met it in single digits. And you say President Buhari is not responsible.
We met it.
Do you see that there's a possible error in your allusion?
Let me tell you this. When we came in, we inherited an economy that was recession-bound. It was headed for recession. And that was why soon thereafter, by 2016, we had recessed.
But there are those experts, Mr. Shehu, who will say that the sustenance of the economy was dependent on the reaction of the president, whom a lot of the experts have said that he was slow pace in his action, and in fact, that was the blow that the Nigerian economy was dealt with. There were no direction. There was some sort of slow action in even making appointment, almost 6 months before cabinet members were named.
You're bringing too many things into this thing. If the idea is to say that the economy, as I said, was recession-bound, the government need to pump out a lot of money. We did the ERGP to pump out money so that you do a lot of public works and a lot of spending so that economy will be regenerated. And thank to the president for those policies. This economy came out of recession within just a year. And so therefore it worked for us. When you spend a lot more money, of course the numbers would change. However, to pretend that COVID did not have implications for, no, this country was not immune to all of the problems it brought to global economies. Even China, perhaps the only nation that did not recess in their economy. the numbers had projected had gone down substantially in their own growth. So everyone was affected, and so therefore to pin it, hang it on the neck of one man. No, President Muhammadu Buhari didn't invent coronavirus and the crisis that it generated.
Totally, we're getting out of time, but let me ask you on a final note, Mr. Shehu.
Thank you.
If there is something that the incoming government needs to be weary of, you have seen, I wouldn't be able to identify whether or not you have conquered. But then, what would you say that the incoming government should be weary of with your experience in the villa?
Well, the country's mass communication system has been a big asset from pre-independence to all of these years, through all of these years. Somebody needs to do something concerning fake news reporting and falsehood. But this should follow due process of the law. They must be wary of this. I think that people are having a free ride on individual reputations and integrity that people have built over the years, and something needs to be done to protect personal liberties and the rights of minorities in this country.
Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to President Buhari on media, thank you so much indeed, and congratulations on your exit. Is it congratulations you say when someone is exiting office? Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Shehu, I appreciate it. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.
Hello and thank you for joining us. You're watching Newstrack on Channels Television. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Our top stories making the rounds at this time. At least 9 people have been reportedly killed by bandits during an attack at Ungwan Dakwa village near Dogondawa ward in Birnin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. Although the police authorities are yet to comment on the incident, the House of Assembly member-elect for Birnin-Gwari State constituency, Mr. Yahaya Birnin-Gwari,